you might see Ravi Kamran, my CEO. We changed some things up because he wasn't feeling very good today. I'm a senior sales manager at TradeMob. I've been there for about 6 months. Before that, I was working in New York in account management and sales. I wanted to talk to you guys a bit today just about data-driven user acquisition and retargeting via RTB. These are really our bread and butter, nuts and bolts products at TradeMob. You might wonder why we want to kind of go back over what we, maybe some of the things that you already know about us, but one thing that we've been doing in recent months is really looking at what our really key strengths are, what our user unique selling proposition is, and how we can build off of that. We have some really interesting plans for 2017, with some really great projects, but I don't think, and I think we all share in the idea that you can't really know where you're going without understanding where you've been and what your best products, your best experiences drive you toward. Just to talk really briefly about our client base, you could say, I guess, if you generalize the verticals, shopping, lifestyle, entertainment, games, and others, we would really say that we focus on entertainment, e-commerce, pizza, food delivery, and that we have both an international and a kind of very local scope in our client base. So we have eBay and then eBay Kleinanzeigen, which is wanted ads. And then we also have Leaf Ahead or Delivery Hero, Auto Scout, and we're working with some other brands as well. We have RTL and some others in the pipeline. And we're just looking to expand. Some of the challenges that you face as mobile app marketers, if you're not already in mobile app marketing or you haven't really used some of these products before, what we find is that first, it's quite difficult to find valuable new users for your app because of low quality traffic, fraud on ad networks, and other traffic sources. And even though your app might have a large amount of existing users, a substantial amount of those might not actually be any longer active. So we really want to help you just get the most out of the users that already have your app. Otherwise, it's kind of not worth launching an app, increasing the user base, getting rankings, etc. We want to make sure that they're actually engaging, increasing ROI, whether that's actually in-app purchases or other forms of engagement or consumption. What we see, our solution is really part of the 3 phases of mobile advertising. So you want to burst and grow your app really quickly, scalably, potentially cheaply. You want to get some traction, in the App Store and iOS. You want to scale, broaden your user base, and grow in a meaningful way. Potentially look at different sources of users that you think might actually not only install your app, but then use it, and then retarget those users. So I think a lot of companies, a lot of our competitors really like to separate out the user acquisition and retargeting. We tried that a little bit, and we actually saw that the knowledge and expertise that you get from user acquisition and knowing what kind of users that you're attracting, the data that you have from tracking those users and those installs is really helpful for retargeting and for the other kinds of performance KPIs. I just want to let you know that they're not telling me how much time I have, so if I'm going over, just shout me down. So here are our 3 products. More concretely, we have Smart Boost, which is really the burst product. Some of you might, if you don't know, it's generally in-sent traffic, which is, you play a game or you watch a video, and then you do a follow-on install. We also do UA targeted at scale. So we maximize user acquisition with access to one of the largest mobile display inventories, both over our DSP and our networks. We have something like 20 or 30 networks whose traffic we can leverage to do this. And then we like to do retargeting and performance. So retargeting is really our classic product, but as you know, many ad networks and DSPs have their own platforms where they plug into multiple SSPs and exchanges to get really high quality traffic at the open exchange. We have a lot of bid level data that we can really use to leverage to get the most engaged users. And we can also do this for retargeting, for brands and for performance marketing. At this point, there's so much data that you can get at the bid level and through other types of data integrations and directly from brands and advertisers that it really widens the scope of things that we can do over our DSP. So the first product, Smart Boost, this is a burst. So it might be 1 or 2 days of really hard push across our networks, across our partners to get the most number of users at once. If you want to see your app get in the top 10 in the App Store in France in the travel vertical, we did that 3 weeks ago for one client. If you want to generate thousands of new users in 1 to 3 days, and you are looking for different user types and different locations with different behaviors, we can do that from a data leverage perspective. And if you want to gain visibility through the kind of organic PR that happens when you're ranked high in the App Store, this really helps. It's best for the launch or the relaunch even of your app to help get toward the kind of the scale and the size that you're looking for. One thing I do want to emphasize is this is not just for new apps. This is for those who maybe are relaunching their app. You have a version that you had to shutter or you lost investment. The app went really dormant for the last 6 months, but it's been in the App Store. It has some visibility. We would then want to, with the next version, use the data that we have and the technology we have, namely the TradeMob plugin, to integrate into the next version of your app and then really push to deliver really high quality, high volume users in a short period of time to really get you going. It really helps with those marketing efforts for apps that are trying to get more traction after a dormant period. One case study that we have is Barcoo. This is a price comparison app in QR scanner. And we thought that this was a good case study because actually in recent months, now that we've really streamlined, become more efficient with our campaign management and our sales, we've seen that this is actually the type of campaign that really works well for us still, and which we're really hoping to build off of. So first we tested smaller budgets with a sample of media partners, sent out our goal and budget allocation. This is just part of the sales process in general. We used our proprietary Smart Boost technology to perform the first boost campaign, generated a certain volume of downloads, and then optimized the ranking. And then we actually monitored their rank, calculated the CPI, and tracked their organic downloads for the boost period and thereafter. So whenever you do that really quick boost, you're going to get organic downloads. That's always the hope, and that's what we monitor, that's what we aim for. Due to the success of the first campaign, 5 weeks later, we performed a second boost. So you can either do just a boost campaign and then kind of a maintenance, getting more users over a period of months, or you can do another kind of burst. I think we like to see at least 2 or 3 bursts followed by really a more maybe non-incent sustained campaign of user acquisition before we would move on to our third product. But they were so happy with the first one, they went with the second one. That's always our goal. Quick scan, the country was Germany. The duration of the campaign was 1 day each. It was in March and May. It was just on iOS. Again, I kind of want to emphasize iOS. It's a little bit easier because we have more access to the data and to monitoring in the Apple Store. We had an eCPI of 53 cents and we bought 125,000 clicks. And as you can see, the CEO of Barcoo also thought pretty highly of us. Oh, sorry. So now talking more about targeted user acquisition, a little bit more scaled out, thinking about long-term lifetime value of the users. We have essentially 2 products for that. We really mostly focus on the classic UA type campaign that I just discussed, but we also have some more experimental technology where we acquire users over our DSP, and we think this is something that's going to be interesting in the future as well. So this gives you a little bit more of a snapshot of the actual partners that we have. This also includes some of the SSPs and exchanges, but really if you think about Tapjoy, Fiber, Rubicon, these are the main ones that we have long-standing relationships with. Since we've been around since 2010, we've been a DSP since 2013. We really think that it's our experience and our kind of long-standing relationships with these networks that allows us to leverage both our expertise and that relationship to get you where you need to be with especially a boost or a user acquisition campaign. This is the targeting options for both UA and retargeting. I'm going to get into retargeting in a second, but this gives an idea of really what's available from a data perspective without even doing a lot of really complicated data attribution, integrations, etc. For the targeting options, you can target users through their IDFA or ID, publishers, via connectivity, Wi-Fi, or mobile. City or postal code is more and more available. We can certainly do by country, but postal code and the more specific targeting, even down to lat longs, is really, I think, it's been around for a while in the US, but it's really starting to be more of a focus in Europe. Focus on the day of the week, things like day parting by hour, et cetera, and then by device model. We support multiple different creative formats. Those are just a couple of the sizes that we have, but in terms of the, the classic 320 by 50 banner, interstitials, native, we do video. We just ran a pretty successful video campaign with a big entertainment client of ours. Every month, it seems every quarter, there's a new creative dynamic and or video type that's on the market, and we actually have a very responsive. One of the great things about having a small tech team is that we have a very smart, very responsive tech team that was actually able to get us up and running with these video and dynamic creatives. There's user targeting options, which is similar to the other targeting options I talked about, but we can do things like blacklisting, combinations of blacklisting and whitelisting, different types of groups of publishers, and then even target similar users based on in-app actions and segments of users based on those actions and behaviors, which actually we then generate recommendations through algorithms that actually track these behaviors. We also then optimize, so we look at CTR, CPI, CPA, and whether it's for user acquisition or for retargeting, we have algorithms that actually, we don't have to go in manually and say, hey, data dive and say, hey, why are these users good? What, are they going to perform or not? We have algorithms that are built out specifically to optimize for these types of KPIs. We even look at things like, for instance, you are in the last, you really want to target those users who have ordered 2 things in your app in the last 7 days, or something in your app in the last 7 days, and you want to retarget them and get them to that point where they were abandoning their cart. We can actually optimize, get that user back, and hopefully get them to cash out. And then we'll actually optimize for the CPA for that user. So for instance, like 15 euros to get that user, maybe they've never ordered before, but they got to that end stage. We can get down to maybe 15 euros to get that user to order that pizza. And then at that point, it's almost canceled out the cost. And then those recommendation algorithms, it's similar to what I discussed before. I won't get too much into it because it can get a little bit gritty, but these are all available on our platform without really complicated integrations of data and technology. So then retargeting, that kind of sets it up. Really, the main focus for retargeting is, again, if you have an app, hopefully a big app, but even apps over 200,000 or 300,000 users, you're going to have a segment of those users that are dormant. We like to both increase your loyal user base through user acquisition, but we like to increase the loyalty of the users that you already have. This can include increasing the number of transactions at a much better price than acquiring new users. So like I said, for instance, if you have someone who's already ordered a pizza on your app, we can probably get them to come back and use your app and order that pizza for a cheaper price than it would be just to get a new user and get them to order a pizza. So you want to think about how you maximize your ROI based on new users versus old users. And then, this then drives ROI optimization and allows you to actually look at your investment, not just across user acquisition and RTB, but with us as well as some of our competitors. One of the ways we do this, just to lay it out again, I've kind of spoken about it, but maybe this will help it crystallize a little bit. We do user cohorting by activity level and frequency of activity in an app. We look at their in-app behavior and their socio-demographics, and then we actually create cohorts, groups of users based on their IDFAs in-app to then retarget them for the certain outcomes that you're looking for in-app. And then we report on that. We also have a dashboard actually that you can log in yourself and monitor how those user segments are performing. We have different formats and bespoke messaging. Like I said, banner, interstitials, native, video, and dynamic banners. And then we actually optimize in a way that helps drive the performance in that user cohorting. So KPIs, conversions, revenue per transaction. They're all adjustments that go back to ensuring that the targeting that you did at first, your marketing needs in that user cohorting phase of building the campaign are met. This is just an example of the type of really dynamic creatives that we can do. I won't dive too much into it because it's something that we're still working on and developing. But for instance, we can give a recommendation based on last item viewed, similar items that that you might be interested in, and then popularity of the items within the ad based on your age, gender, and location. The case study that we did, I won't get too much into the case study because we don't have a whole lot of time, but one of the things that we're really building out now is our branding and audience targeting campaigns. And this is something that we actually have a lot of experience with, but which just using the data that we already have that's already available, we're really able to drive results, again, without a lot of complex targeting, tracking, and data integration. If you have any questions, my name is Brian Niblo. Again, these are some of the brands that we work with. We're always looking to expand. And we definitely look forward to talking to you about some of our 2017 plans in the coming months. Thanks.